The year was 1798. America was just finding its footing, free from Britain but far from peaceful. Abroad, the world was watching as France spiraled into revolution. What began as a fight for liberty had become a storm of bloodshed, the reign of terror, political purges, and the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. France, once an ally, now pressured America to take sides in their wars. When the United States refused, French ships began attacking American vessels, seizing cargo and imprisoning crews. These tensions led to the Quasi-War, an undeclared naval conflict in the Caribbean and Atlantic. At home, fear crept in. The government responded not with wisdom, but with restriction. The Alien and Sedition Acts were passed, targeting immigrants, silencing criticism, and threatening the very freedoms the Constitution had promised. But injustice wasn't just political, it was personal. In 1798, slavery was legal across much of America. Enslaved African men, women, and children were treated as property. Families were separated, lives were stolen. And while some profited, many simply looked the other way. But not all remained silent. Though the Seventh-day Adventist Church would not be formally organized until 1863, its early leaders, Joseph Bates, Ellen G. White, and others, would later stand boldly against slavery, becoming outspoken abolitionists. They believed that faith demanded action, that to follow Christ meant to speak out against cruelty, even when it wasn't popular. And that message still matters. It's easy to turn away when we see something wrong, to say it's not my place, but every act of cruelty, then or now, matters. Whether it's injustice in the system, oppression in our communities, or suffering in silence next door, God calls us to respond. Standing up isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet act of love, a refusal to gossip, a hand on the shoulder, a voice that says, I see you, you matter. So today, let's learn from history. Let's follow the courage of those who spoke when others stayed silent. Let's be the reason someone feels seen, heard, and protected. Because standing up for what's right is still the most powerful way to reflect the heart of God.
Family, this is Karen with Outrageous Reaching October. And I want to share the arc with you. And so first it was impressed upon me to gather 5 items, such as banana bread, water, along with other lunch items. Share these with 5 people who express hunger, inviting them to enjoy a meal together and encourage a conversation about God. Politely request a moment to share some interesting facts and extend an invitation to upcoming events. Well, we didn't actually have a meal. We had coffee. So interestingly enough, we spoke about when Christ returns. I shared 1 Thessalonians 4:16 through 17 and how the dead in Christ will rise first and those who remain will be caught up to meet him in the air. And no second chances for those remaining. So this is not necessarily new information to this individual, but then I shared that when Moses went to Mount Sinai, he asked God if he could see his glory, according to Exodus 33:18 through 23. But God said, and no one can see him and live. Therefore, when Christ returns in his full glory, all who remain will not survive being exposed to God's glory. So that in itself shook them a little, and I believe they did appreciate that. For our prayer rejuvenation, the Feast of Trumpets was a time when people used to apologize, to forgive, receive forgiveness, and to make amends with loved ones. Similar to what we should be doing, we should do before communion with God. Okay, so next week's prayer rejuvenation is to try to fix human relationships before communing with God.
When we have a conflict with others, we can go to God for the help we need to resolve it, but praying for communion with God requires fixing problems with others first. Try praying through the conversation with them for changes in you and the problem.
Remember digital disciple duties at 18:44 p.m. daily.